Welcome to the Dr. Bunny Show, living your life to the limit. We're here to empower people to live better lives. Back, we're here on the Dr. Bunny Show, living your life to the limit, talking with people, real people like you and me, with stories to inspire, motivate, and transform other people's lives. We're here today with James Gray. How are you?
Good, and you?
Good, I'm great. I'm always great, thanks. Now, I've known you for a number of years through the Ventura Chamber of Commerce.
That's true.
Yeah. I've known you as a quiet, gentle, mild-mannered printer. You have a printing company.
That's true, I have a printing company.
And you've been in business for...
Well, I've been here in Ventura since 1991, but I've been in business since 1973.
Wow.
Yeah, and I started in printing in high school in 1954.
What high school?
Lynn Trade High School in Lynn, Massachusetts.
In Massachusetts.
Yeah.
You know, I've always thought that you were from the East Coast. I don't know why I had that.
Must be the accent.
All right. Okay, here's the deal. Mild-mannered printer writes hot, juicy sex book about a hooker.
That's true.
How did you do that? What inspired that?
It's a long, long story.
Well,
Well, I was inspired mainly for writing from my dearly departed sister, Arlene. She passed away last year.
I'm sorry.
She taught like the other young lady in the LA Unified for until her retirement, and then she went on to Cal Lutheran University and the Woodland Hills campus.
Right.
And over the years, she's inspired me to write, and I've been writing all my life.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So is this the first published book?
This is the first published book, but I've had other things published, but they were like newsletters. And things like that.
And
letters to the editor,
Yeah.
Things
What
like
about magazines? Have you ever written articles for magazines?
that. No, just mostly newsletters.
Okay, and that's something you enjoy.
Oh, true. Yeah.
And you're in the printing business, so that it kind of goes hand
So
in
yeah, I
hand.
can print my own stuff.
Works for me.
Yeah.
Right. So how did you get inspired or motivated to write this particular book?
Well, in the past 5 years, I've been going to a writers' critique group in Camarillo, where we all sit around and read our assignments, and I was doing mostly my memoirs, my teenage years, and it was a lot of fun. And then somebody suggested that we write something that's out of our comfort zone. And
What a great idea.
I decided to write this book.
Out of our comfort zone. What an inspiration to do that.
Yeah.
Many of my friends belong to the Writers' Conference up in Santa Barbara, and I keep in touch with many of those folks. You might know some of them. They do virtually the same thing, and then they bring in the writers, and they have in publishers and editors, and they a lot of books have been brought to public awareness through groups like that. So how did that help you?
Well, yes. I've after I got the book published, I started going to networking groups and speaking, and the book started selling pretty well. So I'm happy about that.
Good.
And I've also spoken at WordFest up in Ojai at the Well-Read facilities. Was the ladies club up there in Ojai, and I spoke for 10 minutes. I was a little bit nervous, but it went over well.
Good.
Yeah.
So tell us about the book.
Oh, the book. Yeah. Well, it goes back to when I was in college in 1964. I was at LA City College, and I lived in an apartment house on Westlake Avenue in Los Angeles, and there were two young ladies that lived next door, and they were always provocatively dressed. And
Provocatively dressed. There's your first clue.
So, and they were very nice to everybody, but they were quiet and kept to themselves. And one day it was pouring raining, and they kept looking out the window and wondering, evidently they weren't getting any calls. So my roommates and I went over there with a jug of wine and some paper cups, and we were having a little party. And they started telling wild stories about their experiences. And I was naive. I was only 23, and I believed all this stuff. So when I was asked to write something out of my comfort zone, I thought of this story.
You went back to that?
Yeah, so I wrote a short story, 40 pages, and everybody in the group said, this is terrific. You ought to keep going. So then I did, and they helped me out.
So this is based on a real situation
Yes.
that you actually did
Yeah.
go through.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Let's have a little piece of the book.
Callie is your code name.
Callie is your code name. Was the girl's name really Callie?
No, her name was Gloria, but she took that as a
Got it. That was
stage name.
That
I'd
was
say.
her. That was her. Okay, stage name. Well, it's a stretch.
It's a gypsy name.
All right. So we're going to show a little 1-minute piece, 1-minute clip of Callie is your code name, and the code name is, I'm assuming, what you answer to when you get the phone call.
Right.
Okay. So Callie is your code name. Are we ready to show that?
Follow the sensuous, high-priced call girl Callie on her carnal adventures. This sexy and seductive lady will ply her wares in the world's oldest profession. Take an exciting journey from the mean streets of downtown Los Angeles to the elegant hotels of Beverly Hills, with stops in Hollywood, Catalina Island, and the beautiful Gold Coast of Ventura County. Callie is sure to please, extracting large sums from the rich and discreet gentleman clients. This tantalizing green-eyed beauty never lets the reader down with this page-turning adventure into the dark and mysterious realm of prostitution.
So let me just ask you a question, because my friend John Bailey asked me, why do men go to hookers today? Because sex is pretty available. Is this something that you see that is still going on in our community, LA, the world? Is this something that continues on the way it has in the past, or is it different?
I assume so. I mean, I'm not a practitioner. An embarrassing thing happened to me at one of the first networking meetings I went to. A woman walked up to me after I spoke and asked, she said, "Are you a pimp?" And
Are you a pimp?
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah, and of course I said no.
You're not like any pimp I've ever seen.
Yeah, I don't have the purple hat and everything.
Well,
you
yeah.
know, so.
But some of my clients have been pimps, and some of my clients have been ladies of the night, and you know, and
You know more about it than I do.
maybe.
Yeah.
I didn't write the book, but
Yeah.
you know, the book is of your experience when you were a younger man and your neighbors.
Yeah, and then most of it was made up. You know, after the, I took all her stories, all their stories, and tried to, you know, incorporate them into just one person.
Okay, so what this is a conglomeration, or a group of stories that you heard many stories and put them together.
Yes.
Interesting. So what's now? What's next?
Well,
what are you going to do?
right now I've written a short story called Tank and Tallulah.
Tank
and Tallulah.
Tallulah.
Yeah. It's about teen angst in 1950 Hollywood. And, after I wrote the story, my writing group said, you know, we should make this into a play. So I spoke with a director just last week, and we're thinking about doing
Good.
that. You know.
Good. Play with the new book.
The new book, yeah.
So has this opened up doors for you as far as meeting people in the business?
Oh yes, one person called me a couple of weeks ago. He read the book and he wanted to ghostwrite it to do his memoirs.
No kidding.
He was an executive from a big company back east, and he was quite the ladies' man. And I think he just wants to toot his own horn. But I said, well, you know, if your wife and children find out that you were doing all this crazy stuff, they may, you know, look down on you for that. So, you know.
Did he care?
Well, no, he didn't. But we're using fictitious names and everything
Right.
to bring the story forth.
You know, James, you remind me of when I took some writing classes, and I was very upset with my brother-in-law at the time, so I wrote this really nasty thing about my brother-in-law, and to vent.
Yeah.
He's dead now, but no, at the time we were not the best of friends. So I wrote all this and I turned it in and I said, I'm kind of embarrassed about writing this because if I put it out there, he's going to know it's him. And my instructor said, they never recognize themselves. They never do. So perhaps your person that wanted you to ghostwrite would not have, his family would not have recognized that was him. I don't know.
That's true, and maybe that's true.
Yeah. Egos are such that we like to see the best of ourselves.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the first check to come in. Yeah.
So where do we find the book? Where do we find Kelly as your code name?
You can Google it.
Mm-hmm.
Google my name, and it comes right up. It's on all the ebook applications.
Okay. Is it also out there to buy hard copy?
No, I'm working on it now.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Yes, I just had it re-edited to make sure all the commas and things are in the right place.
Yeah, sometimes they slip through, don't they?
Oh yeah, they do.
Even if you own a printing company.
That's true.
We're talking with James Francis Gray. We're talking about his book, Kaylee is Your Code Name. We're on the Dr. Bunny Show on KADY TV. We'll be right back and we'll find out what inspires James and what inspires my friend that was on earlier, Julie Merrick. We'll be right back.